Hello everyone, I am Lou Holder, Emmy Award-winning broadcast journalist and alumni parent, Bishop McNamara High School in Forestville, Maryland. I'm coming to you from the school's Fine Arts Theater to introduce a fascinating interview with Maryland State Governor Wes Moore. From his time as a cadet and then an officer in the U.S. Army to now the first African-American governor in the state's history, Wes Moore's journey and his lessons learned along the way makes for some fascinating dialogue. Now with some help from the broadcast journalism students that I have the pleasure of instructing at this National Blue Ribbon School, please enjoy this real talk conversation with this dynamic servant leader.
What's up, y'all? How you guys doing? And I've been looking forward to this for a long time.
So, thank you so much for being here. I've interviewed you in a number of different places, but I'm sure you were wondering when you got the call, why would I want you to come here? Because this place has changed a lot for me. And first I want to give thanks to two people on your staff, Vince Harrington and to be Leonard.
By the way, I'm not leaving without stories about Vincent to me. So get them ready.
And so this has been going on for 7 months. September is when I started this journey to get you here. And I wanted you to be the first one of this speaker series because I wanted this school, a Blue Ribbon school now, I wanted them to be exposed to the very, very best. And I thought, what better than to have you kick off the series? So thank you so much for coming.
God bless you.
Yeah.
So
I want to start with your faith. And I want to start with, how has your faith helped you and guided you and molded you in your careers, in your pursuits? How is your faith? How has God been faithful for you?
Well, and first, let me say, truly, what an honor this is to be with y'all. And I've been looking forward to this for a very long time. And because I admire you. I admire the work that you do. I admire the school. I admire the success. I admire the fact that you're not just a national blue ribbon school, but you are truly living lives that for each and every one of us that we lift up and we honor. And so I just want to say how much I really appreciate y'all having me here. And it's interesting because I think about the role that faith has played in my life, almost like as Hezekiah Walker sang when he said, when I think about my story, I can't help but give God glory. Because there's nothing about so much of my story that anybody, as they were coming up, would say, and well, this is the path that he's on to become the 63rd governor of the state of Maryland, where I was 3 years old when I watched my father die in front of me. I was 11 years old when I felt handcuffs on my wrists at 11. That I was a kid who, my mother didn't get her first job that gave her benefits until I was 14 years old. And by the way, this is a woman who went on to earn a master's degree, right? So when we're having conversations about inequitable pay or the wealth gap, like I don't need a white man to explain it. I grew up in it. That I'm a kid, I joined the Army when I was 17 years old. I went to a 2-year college. And I think about everything and all the challenges, all the obstacles. And the reason that I know that God was watching over me that entire time was all those things that I was almost interpreting as challenges or difficulties or deficiencies. What I didn't know was what God knew. Was that those aren't deficiencies. That's preparation. I'm preparing you. I'm toughening you. I'm bringing you closer. And the thing is, if you just look at it, if you look at the Word of God, you know, He talks about this. He talks about this in the book of Job. He talks about this in the book of Job, where Job can sit there and question and say, God, why would you do this to me? You know, I've shown my faith to you and I've loved you. And God says to Job, He says, I'm doing it because I do love you. And Job, by the end of the book, you see all the returns that Job ends up having. So in many ways, you know, I know that I have come this far by faith. I know that my journey has been littered by faith. But I also know that that with that faith also comes an obligation and a requirement and a commitment to a God who has, even in the times that I thought were tough, it was God who was always letting me know, you're okay. I'm preparing you. And I realize that in a way that it's really carried me through everything I've had to endure.
Amen. Amen. So when you came out, everybody had their phones. I even got into the action, you know. Again, my kids have told me that you got to be more social. You got to do this, got to do that. But I guess my question is in the realm of governing, from your campaign to now to what you do, how has social media and how has technology changed the way that you may have governed before, or you may have even been in the public eye before? How has social media and technology changed or maybe even altered the way that you have maybe done things?
You know, it's interesting because I actually don't think that, for me, social media doesn't alter anything that we do. But I think what social media does, it allows people a window into what we do, where I don't adjust my behavior because of social media. I'm not one of these dudes like, oh, let me do this for the likes, or let me do it like, I don't do that. But what I think we can do is, we do want to show you the things we actually do. We want to show you the way we actually move. Because the truth is that when people look at our social media and they're like, that doesn't look like a normal governor, or what any other governor around the country is doing, or a normal politician. My answer is, it's because I don't move like any other governor in the country. And I'm not trying to. You know what I mean? So I think that for me, it's not that we want to use social media to try to create a different type of atmosphere. I think what it is we just create a different type of atmosphere, and social media allows people a lens into it. And the other thing that I know is that, you know, people, you know, they'll look at social and they're like, you know, y'all always joyful and smiling and things together. It's like, and again, it's not a game, but it's not an act. Like that's really how, like, I am a deeply grateful spirit. I'm a deeply joyful person. I love life and I love my people, and I'm never going to shy away from that. And the thing that I also know is that, you know, while it's also a real glimpse into actually who we are and how this team moves, for the people who don't like it, there's nothing more than they hate than to see you keep smiling. So I'm gonna keep on smiling for them.
More with Governor Moore and the students of Bishop McNamara High School on the other side of this break.
Welcome to this special announcement from Bishop McNamara High School.
We are thrilled to announce that Bishop McNamara High School has been named a 2024 National Blue Ribbon School by the Department of Education.
The National Blue Ribbon Schools Program is a U.S. Department of Education award that recognizes schools for their academic excellence. Out of over 115,000 K-12 schools nationwide,
only 52 high schools received this award last year.
This recognition places Bishop McNamara among the top public, magnet, charter, private, and independent schools in the country.
This prestigious honor is a testament to the dedication of our students, faculty, and staff, and the unwavering support of our families and board of directors.
At Bishop McNamara, we're more than just a school. We are a family. Our 900 students excel every day, embody our values of academic excellence, and strive for personal growth.
That's right, Dr. Barnhart. Our students' achievements speak for themselves. With 100% college acceptance rate and over $30 million earned in college scholarships last year alone, our Mustangs are truly excelling.
This Blue Ribbon Award isn't just recognition of our past and present, it's a beacon of hope for our future. It signifies greater opportunities for our students and highlights the incredible work happening here on campus with our faculty and staff.
Our rigorous academic programs, coupled with our commitment to character development, prepare our students not just for college, but for life. We're shaping the leaders of tomorrow.
As a Holy Cross school, we are dedicated to bringing hope to our community and beyond. This award reaffirms our mission to educate hearts and minds.
We invite you to be a part of our continued success. Your support ensures that the legacy of excellence at Bishop McNamara thrives for another 60 years and beyond.
Together, we can build on this momentous achievement and create even brighter futures for our students.
From our family to yours, thank you for your ongoing support and belief in the mission of Bishop McNamara High School.
Go Mustangs!
All right, so this whole day was orchestrated for what we're about to do next. I could do this with you for hours, but it's great. But the real stars of the show are coming to the stage. So, Leo, could you do me the honor of introducing our guests and with the help from our students?
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the stage to join in this conversation with Governor Moore and Mr. Holder, Senior Kennedy Ben and Juniors Maya Stewart and William Lightfoot.
All right, so these are my babies. They've been watching, they've been learning, they've gotten tough love, but they're the ones who I wanted to be before you because they are brilliant, they are fearfully and wonderfully made, and again, this is a college prep school, so I wanted to prepare them for college now. And so this is what we're going to do. They're going to have some questions. I'm going to moderate, just be here as a fly on the wall, and then have them go at it. Kennedy Ben, you have the first question for Governor Moore.
Hello, Governor.
It's good to see you.
It's good to see you too. You talked about the importance of ensuring that no one gets left behind. Can you talk about your relationship with that motto and how it's evolved?
I told you it was good. I told you.
Well, you know, it's wild because I actually first heard that line, "Leave no one behind," when I was 17 years old, and actually I didn't. I remember. I remember. I met Calvin, who I just want to give a shout out to, who I remember specifically when I was telling this story, People's Champ, and I was 17 years old and I was in the Army. I just joined the Army. It's my second day, and we were going through training, and they gave us instructions. They said, "Leave no one behind." Ever. And the whole idea behind that was, you know, if you get one of my people, I will send a battalion in to go get them if I have to. We leave no one behind. And it was something that we were not just taught, we were evaluated on. When you ran any mission, you could run a mission that you thought was 100% successful. But if I left with 10 and I came back with 9, the mission failed. You leave no one behind. And it's something that I didn't just internalize, but I embraced. And then I realized it's not just something that I learned when I was in the military. It really has become my life's philosophy. Like, we should not be doing anything if it means that people are intentionally being pushed to the back or pushed to the side. And so it has literally become something that when we're making our policy decisions, that is a lens that I will talk to my team about, talk to my cabinet secretaries about, when we're putting together, okay, we want to do X, Y, Z, and they know. When the question is, who's being left behind? Why? And how do we fix that? Because that is how we determine mission accomplishment. And so it's something that, you know, again, at 17 years old, I learned it. And it's something that I I bonded to because it's become very much a life mission. That if you're going to be successful in what you do, part of your goal needs to be that everybody comes along for the ride and everybody shares in the success and everybody roots for the mission. Because if not, then there's a flaw in the plan that you have laid out that you need to be able to fix and address.
Very good question, thank you.
Thank you so much.
Maya, you're up next. Maya, you're up next. Question for Governor Moore.
Hi, Governor. What experiences as governor have given you hope, and what is your advice to young people who want to make change in their communities?
I ain't gonna lie, Maya, like I get hope from people every day. Because one of the things I'm really inspired by is, and one thing I've just learned in this role is there are people who have no titles at all who are doing amazing things to change the world. And there are some people with really big titles who are doing absolutely nothing. So the title, I'm not enthralled by titles. I'm not enthralled by who's sitting in what seat or whatever like that, because I don't think that in many ways the title justifies the appreciation for who they are, for how they got there, and for what they're contributing. And so one of the beautiful things that I become inspired by is I get inspired when I get a chance to see the educator who gets up before the sun is even up, and who's inside that classroom and is paying for materials because the school could not pay for the materials for their students, so they're actually getting materials for their students. And they're the ones grading papers and doing all this work and after school work, and they're getting back home after the sun goes down. And in many cases, these are also educators who are still doing things like graduate school or advancing their careers or taking care of their own families as well. But every single day, they're sacrificing on behalf of the young people who they're gonna see. I get inspired by the young person who is at school first thing in the morning, goes through a whole day of work. At the end of it, goes and does sports activities, and at the end of that, goes and does public service at a animal shelter or at a food pantry or does tutoring for another student. The person who has no time at all for themselves, but they will find time to devote to somebody else. Like, there's something so beautiful about that to me, because you have people who really understand this basic idea that service is a basic rent that we all pay for the joys that God gives us every day. And so all we have to do then is just to do our part and contribute our share. And so I'm really inspired by people who understand that a title is not what earns you respect. The work you do is what earns you eternal admiration. And that's the thing that I know that I get a chance, and I have the joy of seeing every single day. And that is the thing that really keeps me motivated and inspired.
Praise God, praise God. Thank you so much. Let's give it up for Mike. William Lightfoot, he's a preacher in the making here, Governor. Just let you know. I'll let you know. Go ahead, William, your question for Governor Moore.
Yes, good morning, Governor
Moore.
While we're on the topic of service, you have made service a cornerstone of your administration's mission and agenda. Could you talk about the power of service in your life and in your work as governor of the state of Maryland?
Yes. And first, and I tell you, it's funny. When I told my grandmother, I come from a long line of preachers and teachers. Like, my family is like educators and ministers. And my grandmother, when I told her that she passed away at 95 years old, she actually passed away 5 days before election day. But I always say it's because God wanted to give her a front row seat. When I told her that I was going to run for governor, she said to me, she was like, "Well, that's so great, that's wonderful. And maybe when you're done with that, you can become a minister." So she knew the pecking order of what was important. We did, and I said from our first days that I wanted Maryland to be the state that serves. And I said that for a reason, because I saw how service saved my life. how being part of something bigger than myself saved my life. And that's funny because I remember, and for me, my first entry in the service was the military. And I had people, when I ran for governor, I had people who I served with in Afghanistan who came and campaigned for me, who would literally come and knocking on doors, right? Many of them were not Marylanders. Many of them were not Democrats. But they literally came to Maryland to knock on doors on my behalf and were telling people, let me tell you about the guy that I served with. And so I'm just a big believer that particularly in this time of this political divisiveness and this political vitriol, and at times when politics is not even just dividing a nation, it's dividing families, that service will save us. Because people who serve together, they generally stay together. And the people who you serve with, those would be your people for life. You will ride for them, no matter what, no matter the circumstance. Because these are people who you have seen when they are at their best and they are at their worst, but you have been in the trenches with them. And so I want and I believe that we have to be a state that serves because it's going to help us to navigate it. It's one of the big reasons why I'm very proud that Maryland is now the first state in the country that has a service year option for all of our high school graduates. That every high school graduate, and I'm saying this also to all y'all seniors, that every high school graduate now has a chance to have a paid year of service to the state of Maryland. And you can choose however you want to do it. If you say, I'm really interested in animals, I'm really interested in the environment, I'm really interested in young people, I'm really interested in older adults, I'm really interested in veterans, just tell us what makes your heart beat a little bit faster. And we'll create the opportunity for you to have a paid experience, to go spend a year and serve. And at the end of that year, you're gonna get a $6,000 stipend to do whatever you want. If you want to then go on to college, you could go on to college at that point. If you want to go on to the military, if you want to go on to the workforce, if you want to use that money to help buy a car, if you want to use that money to put a down payment on a home, it is your choice, it is your money. But we also know this, that year of getting a chance to serve, that year of getting a chance to build a bond with hundreds and thousands of other people all around the state of Maryland, that year of pushing yourself in a different way, we believe, and we've already seen evidence, is going to be a year that will help to shape the direction of your entire life. And so I believe that service is sticky. And service, particularly in this time of this political divide, that service will save us, and Maryland's gonna lead the way on it. All right.
Based on our current economic situation, how do you think that will continue to affect us in our lives?
Yeah, it's a great question. You know, it's a tricky and a complicated time because we're seeing a collection of pressures, right? And we're seeing a collection of uncertainties, where we are seeing a lot of uncertainties that are coming from a new federal administration, which in many cases, are putting together policies, economic policies in particular that, I don't necessarily agree with. Because what I think it's doing, it's actually doing the opposite of what people need right now. Because what it's doing is it's doing things like raising prices on things, which I think is the opposite of what people need right now. It's making the conversations and trade with other countries, making it very, very complicated, difficult, which I think is actually the opposite. Like, we need to make sure that our businesses have a better chance of actually doing business in other countries and exporting. And so the thing that I really want to focus on is making sure that we are providing the right kind of relief to people where they need it and they feel it most. So for example, one of the big pushes that I came into this year with was I said, we have to do a better job of being able to provide working families and middle-class families just a little bit of tax relief right now. Because I believe we do ask a whole lot, and frankly, we ask too much. And so we were able to put things in place to make sure that we could do things like making sure we're getting the middle class a tax cut in the state of Maryland. because I believe that middle-class families and working families need a little bit of pressure valve relief, particularly when you're watching prices rise on so many other things. That I believe that we needed to focus on things like raising wages, because I came from a family where my mother was working 3 different jobs and didn't get her first job that gave her benefits until I was 14. And I'm just like, gone should be the days when you have people working jobs, and in some cases working multiple jobs, and still living at or below a poverty line. It makes no sense. It disincentivizes work and is deeply unfair. And I was saying that we have to make sure we're getting more people employed. And so that's why we have made historic investments in apprenticeship programs and getting people into the workforce and childcare, because one of the biggest challenges of childcare is if I have a parent who has to make a choice between, is my child going to be okay, or can I go back to the workforce? That's not a fair ask. So we should be providing the supports for childcare to get people back into a workforce. And I'm really thankful that the work that's happened has, in Maryland, at least, has produced the kind of results that we are hoping for. The Maryland now, when I was inaugurated, Maryland was 43rd in the country in unemployment. Now we're going on 15 straight months of amongst the lowest unemployment rates in the entire country. Right now, the unemployment rate in Maryland is 3%, which is over a point lower than the national average. We were anxious to raise wages, and actually with the tax reform plan that we just got done, 94% of Marylanders are about to either get a tax cut or see no changes at all, and we're actually making sure we're going to put more money back in the pockets of middle-class families and working families, because that's what I said has to happen in this moment, particularly when we're watching the federal government that's actually raising prices on things. And so we know that there's more work to be done, and particularly where it is a difficult and a challenging financial time, where we're watching the federal government taking away things like student loan relief. We're watching the federal government take away things like the mortgage relief. So our job is to make sure we're just pushing back on that and ensuring that, at least in our state, we can just provide folks just a little extra financial cushion, and then make it through what I know is a complicated time for a lot of families.
Right. William, your second question to the governor.
Yes, Governor Moore, what is the greatest challenge you faced as governor, and what did you do to get through it?
These questions are really tough.
I wasn't going to have you come here for softball questions. This is National Blue Ribbon School, they call it.
You know, it's interesting. One of the really complicated things about leadership is you don't just have to tackle the things that you're prepared for. You have to tackle the things that you didn't prepare for. And I think one of the biggest things that you have to deal with is this moment is how do you respond in crisis? Because I mean, the Army actually taught me something else too, where it taught me that I don't learn anything about anybody in times of ease. Because in easy times, anybody can show me anything. You know what I mean? Anything you ever want to learn about somebody, watch them when it was hard. Watch how they respond. Do they wither? Do they curl up in a fetal position? Or do they stand up? Watch somebody when it was hard. And, you know, I remember a little over a year ago when my phone rang at 2:02 in the morning to tell me that a ship the size of 3 football fields had just slammed into the Key Bridge up in Baltimore and taking the bridge down instantaneously. And how in that moment, the Port of Baltimore, which is responsible for about 13% of our state's economy, was now shut down. How a bridge that about 40,000 people went over every single day was now at the bottom of the Tapsco River. And how 6 workers who were in the middle of the night fixing potholes were now missing. I remember coming around, turning that corner, and actually Vincent was with me. And seeing that bridge where most of it was at the bottom of the river, the only part that wasn't in the bottom of the river was the part that was still sitting on top of that ship. And what felt like every camera on planet Earth was there centering and was looking for you for answers. And I remember that first press conference where I said I got 4 objectives. 1, we are going to bring closure and comfort to these families who lost people that night. The second, we were going to reopen that federal channel as quickly as possible to get commerce going. The third, we were going to make sure that everybody who was impacted by this, to include the port workers, their families, because we had thousands of workers who woke up that morning realizing they no longer had a job. All the small businesses, we had about 1,000 small businesses that supported the Port of Baltimore, who now realized they have no more customers. And then the fourth was where we were going to rebuild the Francis Scott Key Bridge. And I remember every single day we had a press conference at 3 p.m. without fail. Every single day we all stood together, unified. Same mission, same goal, same information. We weren't doing dueling press conferences. And every single day at the press conference, I started by doing a couple of things. 1, I spoke Spanish with the families. And then the second thing I did was I repeated those first 4 objectives every day. And to the point where it took 5 weeks, but we were able to find all 6 people that we lost so we could return their bodies to their families and give them the closure that they needed. That we were able to make sure that all the port workers were supported. And when they told us that first morning that it would take 11 months to clear the channel because of the amount of debris that was in the water, because of a lot of hard work and collaboration and some amazing work by our teams, we got that channel cleared in 11 weeks. It was really powerful because I'm a big believer in the idea that partnership produces progress and nothing else ever will. And that was a really beautiful example where Maryland put on a case study on how to respond in a moment of crisis. And I'm really proud of how the state collectively just stepped up in a real time of need.
Awesome. Thanks, Simon. Kennedy, your second question to Governor Wes Moore.
Hi, Governor Moore. What advice do you want to leave to the next generation of leaders?
You're going to get a lot of counsel on what you should study, on what you should do, what major you should choose. The truth is, you're going to get asked that question so many times that it's going to almost become like rote. Like, you know what I mean? Like, and I got asked that question so many times. What are you going to study? What are you going to study? What's your major going to be? I got asked that question so many times. I eventually started making stuff up just so people stop asking the question. And you're going to get a lot of advice, and it's all going to come from a place of love. The thing that I would say, though, is this, is whether you choose STEM, whether you choose communications, whether you choose biology, whether you choose history, whether you choose, that's going to be an important question. But the thing I would tell you is choose tough. Choose what's hard. Don't choose easy. Because the reason I say that is this, is the one guarantee I will give you in life is tough is on its way.
Could you say that again for me?
Tough is on its way. I don't know what it's going to look like for you. I don't know what shape it's going to show itself. I don't know the direction it's going to come. And I don't know when it's going to come. It can come in 2 years, it can come in 10 years, it can come in 15 years. The guarantee I have, tough, is approaching you. You need to know how to handle it. You need to know what to do with it. And I think how to handle tough is a muscle that you can actually develop. How to make sure that when tough shows itself, that you're not going to flinch, that you're not going to back down. That when tough comes, tough realizes tough's about to be tougher. And I think that's something that you have to be able to develop. And it's a muscle, it's an instinct that I think you want to make sure that you harness and that you hold on to. And so as you're going through deciding what you want to do, there might be an instinct to say, well, I'm good at X, so let me do that. Or this is pretty simple to me, so let me do that. The thing I would just ask is push against that urge. Choose tough. Choose the thing that's going to force you to wake up a little bit earlier. Choose the thing that's going to force you to stay up a little bit later at night. Choose the thing that's going to force you to get a little bit frustrated. Choose the thing that's going to force you to sit in discomfort. And it's going to make you sit there for a while. And that's okay. Because once you know how to handle tough, tough isn't scary anymore. That when the toughest moments come to you and they are on their way, when they approach you, you've seen that enemy before. You've seen that foe before. And you're not going to flinch because you're built different. And so that's the piece of advice that I would give you as you're going through this next phase of life. Choose the thing that puts you in a space of discomfort, because that's actually the best preparation that you're going to get for no matter what it is you're going to see later on in life.
Amen. Amen. Great question. Great question. Great question. So, Governor, one of my favorite quotes outside of the Bible is from the late, great Jackie Robinson, and it said, "A life is not important except on the impact that it has on other lives." And I think we can actually say that you embody that, the impact that you're having on so many lives. We are so proud of you. And this school community is holding you up because I know governing is tough. I know it has to be tough. And there's no right answer. But we just wanted to show you some love and show you that the reach that you have and the lives that you are actually pouring into just by what you do and what you say, that's what Jackie Robinson talked about, the impact that you're having on other lives. And we thank you. Thank you.
This Real Talk conversation is part of an ongoing speaker series presented by the school's Fine Arts Department to provide empowering opportunities for the students at Bishop McNamara to gain insight and exposure from the individuals actually working in the industry. And as you have just witnessed, that exposure was indeed captured. A special thanks to Governor Moore and his staff, all the awesome production folks at First Amendment Sports, Taylor Brown 31, and Campus Vision Productions, as well as the leadership, faculty, and staff at Bishop McNamara High School, one of the premier scholastic institutions in our country. To learn more about what's going on at this National Blue Ribbon School, visit the website, bmhs.org. I'm Lou Holder. Have a blessed day. Thanks so much for watching, and go Mustangs.
One thing that we do here at Bishop McNamara, we do here well, is we always put ourselves in the presence of God before we start everything. But I'm adding a new twist to this. So one of my former WMAC students reached out to me a couple of months ago and said, "I'm graduating from Howard University soon, and I want you to come to my senior recital." She used to sing here, and I was like, "These pipes are unbelievable." I said, "Could you come and be part of the program?" And she goes, "Absolutely, but I got to go get my senior pictures for Howard a little later on." So she's going to come and bless us with song. Ladies and gentlemen, let's give it up for Jasmine Brownlee, class of 21.
I love you, Lord, for your mercy never fails me. In all my days, I've been held in your hands. From the moment that I wake up until I lay my head, oh, I will sing of the goodness of God. And all my